no one is stopping me from winning. No one, because it's not about them. It's about me. Like I get to decide whether or not I'm a winner or not by my day-to-day actions. You got to be better than what you were yesterday. How can I get better than that? When you start comparing to other people, you start belittling yourself because you can't be them. They can't be you. It's a process. It's not instant gratification when it comes to being a winner, bro. Now, there's a specific type of commitment, consistency, discipline that you got to have in everything you do in life in order to be in that 1 percentile, in order to achieve the ultimate success.
Welcome back to another episode of the DJ Henderson podcast. I'm your host, DJ Henderson, and this is season 3, episode 8. Today's guest is Malcolm Bernard. Malcolm is a Miami, Florida native who played high school ball at Middleburg High. After his high school career, he signed to play Division I basketball at Charleston Southern University. After playing 2 years at Charleston Southern, he transferred to Florida A&M. And finally, after 2 seasons at Florida A&M, he was a grad transfer at Xavier, where his team was a preseason top 10 team, and they made a deep NCAA tournament run, making it to the Elite Eight. After his illustrious college career, Malcolm was the 13th pick in the first round of the 2017 G League draft. Since then, he's continued his professional career in many different countries, and soon is getting ready to fulfill his contract in Russia. Malcolm Bernard, welcome to the show, man.
What's good, bro? Glad to be here.
Thank you for being a part of this. I really appreciate you just taking the time out to do this. It means a lot to me for sure.
It's all love, bro. It's all love from on the same.
Yes, sir. All right. So you grew up Miami, Florida. Talk to me about your upbringing in Miami.
My upbringing was crazy, bro. Like, I don't know. I grew up in a tough neighborhood. So I always had that like working mentality based on that. My family is my family, you know. Everybody got their family, you know what I mean? And I mean, like, everything was so like rough. Like everybody was so like you had to be tough to grow up in my neighborhood. I grew up in Carol City. So like you had to be, if you wasn't tough, you wasn't gonna survive in that neighborhood. Basically Miami Gardens, which is now like quote unquote murder gardens, but like, yeah.
For sure. If you don't know, that's Carol City. That's where Rick Ross from. A lot of famous people from. Definitely a lot of athletes come from there. Who were some of the athletes that you saw coming up that inspired you to just keep going with basketball?
I didn't even play basketball like when I lived there. I played football. So like that was my thing. But I played against Lamar. I played against a bunch of like guys who like went to go play either NFL or played in high level college, like college football. But yeah, like I don't really think I really looked up to anybody. I never have like in sports like that. I kind of just always just was cool with just being me. Like, you know, like, I mean, like everybody has people they watch and they model like how they play after and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say that like that was like a hero of mine or somebody that I like really looked up to as a person. You know, that was like I kind of separated two from person and game. You know what I mean?
For sure. Lamar that he just mentioned is Lamar Jackson. For y'all that's not catching up, keeping up. That's Lamar Jackson we talking about, man. So you started off playing football, like you said. Who put the ball in your hands, and what was your first hoop memory?
For basketball?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. My first time probably putting the ball in my hands, I was maybe like, I don't know, 11. But it was like on some like just bull crap. Like, you know, like go to the park. My dad used to just take us to the park every Saturday. We just played like a hustle. Like me, him, and my two brothers. And we just, you know, compete like that. But it was never nothing. I never like played outside of that day. You know what I mean? Like outside of him taking us like every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, whenever it was, I never really played outside of that. But I would say he's the one that basically put it in my hands for sure.
So going from that, like when did you start playing organized ball?
I started playing organized ball my freshman year. My freshman year of high school, I played 1 year there. And I had grade issues. Like I had GPA issues because I mean, I was always a smart kid, but like I was just always in trouble basically a lot of the time. So I never really did. I wouldn't say that I was like the guy who did all the right things. Like when they first came into high school, like I was doing all the wrong stuff and getting into trouble and girls and stuff like that. So I wasn't really serious about it, if I'm being honest.
You mentioned just some of the troubles you had in high school, your freshman year, your first year playing organized ball. After that, you moved to Jacksonville. Talk to me about the transition moving from Miami to Jacksonville and what that was like.
Oh man, that transition was crazy because it was like, I mean, for one, I went from a predominantly Black neighborhood. So like that's all I saw was Black people. Like no matter what. Like everywhere you go, every store, every school. I mean, in Miami, we say Oyes, which is like Chicos and shit like that. So you may have saw like one of those like rocking around the school or whatever, or a couple of Hispanics here and there, but like it was really like predominantly Black. So like it wasn't really until I got there until really was a culture shock because now the roles flipped because I went from a predominantly Black school to a predominantly white school. And then so that was just like a whole switch up for me because I was like, dang, like I wasn't really used to it. Like, there was like a few Black kids in the area and it was in the country. And it was like everybody was, to me, everybody was different. I'm coming from the city, moving to the country. Like, so it's totally different. You're seeing cowboy boots and horses and pigs. And like we have horses, pigs, chickens, cows, all that stuff in my school, like literally at my school. So like we had like an agriculture class that dealt with like, obviously, what agriculture is, but we had all that stuff at my school. So it was a huge culture shock. You don't have none of that shit in Miami.
For sure. How do you feel? I feel like for me, if I went through, like I didn't go through anything like that. My high school was pretty much like all kinds of different races. I feel like I had like a pretty good balance of just different types of people at my high school. It's pretty much like the real world to me, different races, different religions, different all kinds of people overall. How do you think making that change like helped you become a better person or change you as a person going to Middleburg and being around those kind of people?
Well, I mean, like that set it off for me, like as a person, as a player, as everything. Because when I got there, like I said, I never experienced it before, and I wasn't open to it, like I wasn't open to experiencing it, kind of when I first got there, I really didn't say much to nobody. I didn't speak to people. I just kind of did my own thing. But then like my dad kind of got me into, opening up more and just being around and just being comfortable, he kind of just wanted me to basically get this mini tour of what life is going to be like, And so I kind of embraced that. And then when I embraced it, I think I started to learn from others. And then I started to see not only like, how people are in the classroom, but how they live outside of the classroom, because obviously when you start to make friends, people start to invite you over, y'all start to go here, you start to meet parents, all type of stuff. So once I did that, it was just like, dang, like I'm basically acclimated to this culture.
For sure. So at this point, you're really starting to get into playing organized ball. Talk to me about your high school career there at Middleburg.
My high school career there was unbelievable. Like when I first got there, I was a talented player, like per what my coaches said. But I was like super stubborn and I was like I was a little arrogant. I ain't gonna lie, I was a little arrogant probably. I knew how good I was because I knew that I knew how to play sports naturally. So my coaches, I used to get kicked out of practice a lot and I had like a bad GPA. So like I was already like ineligible. So I really couldn't even play, but I would practice with the team. And I think my sophomore year, that summer, my coach, he came up to me and he was like, I'm going to give you the keys, to the car, basically. And I want you to take over. And I had an incredible summer that year. And when I had an incredible summer that year, it transferred into the season. And once I had that first season, like killing, I think that's when I just basically picked up steam and I got like a lot of people started recruiting me and, wanting to offer me, but couldn't offer me because I didn't.
If you're new to the show and you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you never miss out on the show. If you're tuned in through the audio experience, make sure you leave a review, a 5-star rating, and subscribe to the show.
Have a GPA to even be offered. Like I was still like at a 2.0, 2.1, and that's not really, you need to be a qualifier at that time, and I wasn't even a qualifier.
Right. So what would you tell, if you could go back and tell yourself something, or you could tell somebody that's in high school right now that's trying to decide, oh, maybe my grades aren't that important. Maybe I could just only play sports. Like, what would you tell yourself, or what would you tell that person about just staying on top of their grades?
I would just tell them, like, stay focused, man, and like really, really hone in on there's more to life, especially like in high school. There's more to life than just basketball. Like basketball can be ball is life for you all you like, but I mean, there's more. It takes more than that for it not to be stripped from you, because there's other key components that create the opportunity for you to even play. I mean, grades is like a huge deal. I mean, like it's one of the biggest deals that I never realized. My dad always said, get your grades, get your grades, get your grades. But I never really took it seriously. But if I did, I probably wouldn't have never went to Charleston Southern either, you know? So it's just one of those things where it's like, 3.0s, 2.8s, 3.2s, 3. That shit matters. Like it matters because not only does it tell a coach a story, it tells a coach how you are as a person. Like, if you take an academic seriously, you probably would take basketball seriously just as much.
For sure. I never had that issue. My mom was a teacher, so like from the start, never going for that. But like that's exactly right. Like I used to know myself. Like, all right, I'm gonna be whatever kind of basketball player I'm gonna be. That's what I'm gonna be. But if I take care of my grades, that's gonna put me just like one step ahead of everybody else. Like even if I'm not as good, like on some ways, I'm gonna be in a better position because, like you said, like you can't even get recruited to play at any schools if your GPA is too low. But if your GPA is high enough or it's a good enough GPA, then it just changes your recruitability. Like you can get recruited by more schools, you can get recruited by more prestigious schools, and it just makes for better opportunities down the road for sure.
You can't even get in. Like coaches won't even look at you. You can't even be in a conversation without having a certain GPA to even start off. But I think like for me at that time, I just assumed that like, oh man, like all these players, they don't really need the grades to do it. Like they don't really need that. Like they get in there off their talent, their skill, So I kind of looked at it as that, like I'm getting in there off my talent and my skill, So schools that were like mid-majors were like, oh man, we're going to wait around and we're going to take a chance on him, like we're going to wait and see what he does. I didn't know anything about the SAT, ACT until I was a senior in high school. Like that's my first time like actually taking the test because like I wasn't prepared to go play college basketball or any type of basketball at the high school. Like it wasn't like a dream of mine. Like it wasn't like a dream like how it is with everyone else, where I want to be a college basketball player. I want to be this. I didn't have that. Like that's not how I grew up, So like, it wasn't one of those things where it's like, oh man, like, yeah, this is possible for me. Like, I never thought that way.
For sure. After your coach told you that, he was handing you the keys to the whip. You had a big summer. Talk to me about just that next season you came in and killed and all the schools that came and started recruiting you. What was your recruiting process like after that?
Man, my recruiting process went so quickly. Like, it was crazy. Like, I had JU, UNF, Charleston Southern, Arkansas Pine Bluff, Western Kentucky, Wyoming, Texas Corpus Christi. Like I had a bunch of like mid-major schools to low major schools that came to recruit me. But it was like, and it was also like on top of that, I had a lot of JUCOs too, because a lot of people thought that I wasn't going to make that. Just kind of looking at my junior year, they kind of didn't feel like I was going to make that. But my basketball was crazy, bro. Like I think that year I averaged like 25 24, 23, like 23, 10, and like 7 or something like that, something crazy. And like our team, I'm not gonna lie, our team is like one of the worst teams in the league. Like we were like the 8th or 9th seed or 8th seed, I think it was. So, you know, it was a lot of battling, but we ended up beating. And this kind of like what also helped my recruiting more is because we ended up beating everyone in our district. We lost in the district championship to the number 1 team who was like really, they were stacked. We lost to them by like 5, and we went to the tournament, basically state tournament, and we lost in the Sweet 16. And I think when we did that, and I did that with the guys that I had on my team, I think coaches was like, yo, this kid is a game changer. So then that kind of locked people in more going into my senior year.
So you had the breakout junior year. That's kind of definitely Division I level stats for sure. You talked about your grades and the low major to mid majors, JUCOs recruiting you. How you definitely would have had high major schools recruiting you if you had your grades, your SAT, all of that stuff. What was your senior year like? It had to be pretty crazy too if that was what your junior year was.
Man, my senior year, it was like one of them situations where like, like you know how good you are and you know what you can do. So it's kind of like, I don't want to say that I got bored because I didn't get bored, but I will say that like I was just cool with like the numbers that I put up, and I just more so wanted to win more than the numbers. So I sacrificed a lot because I didn't like our record when I had that outbreak junior year. Like I had a great year as a player, yeah, but our team we had success as a team, but our record didn't show that. Like, it's like almost like people thought like, oh, it really wasn't that good, like, which we weren't. But I wanted to show people like, yo, bro, like our team is nice. Like we are good. Like, and I wanted to show people that I'm a winner. So I kind of took on that role of like, let me not try to be the scorer and all this other stuff. And I kind of became more of just a leader, like trying to motivate my teammates to be better, pushing them in the gym every day, and making sure that I was always making the right plays to give people confidence. That means that like, I knew that some shots that I would take would be better than theirs, but I still gave it to them anyway, because I wanted them to know that I believe in you. I want you to have confidence to take this shot, And with that being said, I mean, my first year we were 11 and like 17 or 18 or something like that. And then my senior year, we were like 17 and 10 or something like that, 16 and 10 or something like that. So it was I would say it's pretty cool. Like my senior year, I wanted to say that like the scoring, everything, I still have all the same capabilities. I was stronger, I was bigger, I was faster, I was quicker, I was way more athletic for a fact. And I had a different mindset going into that year. So I think for me, the one thing that I felt that I was missing from the last year is I didn't think that I was really a winner. Even though we did everything that we did, from record standpoint, I wanted to be a winner from that standpoint as well. So I think that year I had 20, 10, and like 6 or 5 or something like that. Kind of dropped a little bit.
For sure. I mean, that's kind of to be expected though. You're trying to will your team. You're trying to, like you said, you're trying to give your guys confidence so that you guys could show that you guys are good as a collective group. So your numbers are kind of supposed to go down. I feel like it's major what you said though. Even though you didn't have the success as far as your record goes, I feel like just having that mindset that you just described, just one, like you were a winner, like that showed that you were a winner. I feel like somebody, like coaches that were recruiting you, probably if they were tuned into the games and they were actually watching you, they probably could tell that you was a winner. I'm sure they weren't too worried about your high school record. They just were worried about your mindset, like you said, and all that kind of stuff. Earlier in the interview, you mentioned about how you were stubborn, you were somewhat arrogant, you had bad grades. Like, what was the change? When did you become like coachable? When did you know that being coachable was important, and like, how did that help your game?
Man, like a lot of kids, we all have trauma, and we have trauma, in my opinion, from parents. Like things get passed down from parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles. you see things that kind of put you in a specific type of place mentally. And I think for me, like, I had a lot of traumas, a lot of situations, a lot of problems, a lot of things that went wrong in my life that I really didn't, agree with. And so, like, I think that's what kind of made me stubborn and arrogant a little bit and not listening. And when I got away from that environment and I moved into a newer environment, and I had my father or my dad who was like a alpha, like he was a real alpha. So like he really taught me how to be a leader, but making me understand that I need to follow before I lead. Like you need to learn how to follow before you lead. You can't just lead without understanding how to follow. So I think, at a young age, every day we would come to the dinner table, we would sit down and we eat dinner together. And like, I never had that, like when I was in Miami, ever. I didn't even know what that even looked like, bro. You got dinner, you went wherever you ate at, that's wherever you ate at, So like when I did that with him, I kind of just was like, yo, like maybe I should listen to him. And he would just talk to me about life and talk to me about how to be a better man, how to be a better leader, how to understand how to treat people, and to treat people how you wanted to be treated. And so when I kind of grasped those concepts at like 16, 15, 16, it was like, yo, this is like, I want to be a good human being. And I started to see success. So I wanted to change more. Like the more success I saw, the more I wanted to change, the more I wanted to be better. And I think that is what pushed me to say, hey, like, you got to look at yourself in the mirror every day and be able to be okay with the person that you see. And when I was in high school, I used to do that and I wasn't okay with it. So I just changed, bro. And I believed, I had faith. And before you know it, I just felt like the universe worked in my favor and things started to go well.
For sure. I was definitely about to say that. I feel like you said it before you just said that. You said you started seeing more success and stuff. I feel like that definitely probably just went hand in hand, just working on yourself, being a better person, all that shit just probably just went right hand in hand for sure. Your senior year wrapped up. You ended up going to Charleston Southern out of all the schools that recruited you. Talk to me about what went into that decision and what it was like when you first got there.
Oh, man. That Charleston Southern joint, man, like, dude named Brad Dobbles, he was like recruiting me, but he was big on me. Like, that dude believed in me more than any other coach I had ever came in contact with. Like, he believed in me. Like, and I think seeing that, and he drive down to my games like every other weekend to watch me play. So it was like, yo, like he really wants me. Then he brought the staff down and they agreed. So then they offered, and I basically took that offer just because of him. Cause I was like, this dude is, and he was like on me every day about my grades. Like, hey, bro, like you need to be in the classroom, make sure you get your work done, make sure you're doing this. Even came down to like meet with me and show me like, hey, bro, like you need to be in the classroom, you need to be taking care of this, taking care of that. It's home stretch, we can't wait to have you on campus, all this other stuff. So I went with them because of him, basically. And when I got there, the adjustment process was very difficult. Let me just say that, because it was Division I, obviously, but like I was the only freshman, bro. Like, so I had no one to compare myself against. Like, so you got to imagine, like, my whole team is juniors and seniors, like, and I'm a freshman, It was just hard. Like my coaches didn't know if I was doing good as a freshman or if I was doing bad as a freshman. I thought I was doing pretty good, but, they thought I needed to be more consistent, like as a freshman, but I had some up and downs, but I think that's the difference between that makes you great and that makes you just good. And I think I was just good at the time, and they wanted me to be great because they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself.
How important is having a coach that really just believes in you and just instills confidence in you? I feel like when you play for a coach that might not be a player's coach or might not have that connection with you, it might kind of take away from your confidence or take away from your game. And you know as well as I know, it's all about really the mental, like how confident you are in your game, what you feel like you can do, what you know you can do. How important was that?
That's super important. I mean, everything is based on fit. I think
If you're new to the show and you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you never miss out on the show. If you're tuned in through the audio experience, make sure you leave a review, a 5-star rating, and subscribe to the show.
guys sometimes think that it's based on where you play. They get caught up in names and how big the school is, and they don't really get a relationship with the coach to see how much he truly believes in them. So when I chose Charleston Southern, I wanted a staff that truly believed in me. Now, I didn't find that in the sense of like those guys, they cared, they were there for me. But at the same time, it wasn't a place where I was gonna come in and play right away. Now, I should have played right away because that was our plan. Our plan was for me to play right away. But for whatever reason, it didn't work out that way. Because I had 2 seniors in front of me. And those guys had given so much to the program, there was no way they're going to start a freshman over those guys. But when I became a sophomore, I think that's when that belief of how they felt about me, that came into fruition. They really like pushed me and wanted the best for me. And I probably should have had a breakout year, honestly, until I hurt my knee. When I hurt my knee, it kind of went downhill because I think my coach, he wanted so much out of me, but I couldn't give him what he wanted because I wasn't healthy. Like, and he had big plans for me for sure. He really thought the highest of me. But you know what it is? It's kind of like when you salty when you can't get everything you want out of something, you know? And I think that was his approach. And I don't want to say he was a trouble coach because he wasn't in trouble. I think he was more just misunderstood at the time on what he really wanted, you know?
How important is just being healthy? Like I've went through my own fair share of being injured. I got hurt last year. A lot of the time it's freak accidents. Sometimes it's stuff that could be avoided, but I know
Right.
a lot of people don't understand. It's a dark place being a student athlete, a college athlete, being injured. Like you go from, my dad told me a long time ago, go from sugar to shit real quick. Like just tell me about how you felt when you got injured, and like you said, you weren't able to do what you want, like do what your coach expected of you. You weren't able to do what you were capable of. Just talk to me about that.
I mean, that shit was crazy, bro. Cause like he was like pissed. Like he really was pissed. Like, and he was mad every day because when you looking at me in the summer, bro, I came back as a sophomore. I probably had like the best summer ever, like that anybody would have. Like I was literally unstoppable, unguardable. There's nothing you can do about it. Like I mastered a lot of stuff because I put so much time, so much effort into my game. And I was also like the only player that stayed the whole summer. Like I didn't leave, I didn't go home. I stayed the whole summer. So I was working out with one of our guys the whole summer, every day, 2-3 days, every day, starting from 6 a.m., not finishing until late at night. So it was just like a constant grind. And when I came in for the preseason, I just took a false step, and then something just happened to my knee, and I just couldn't move after that. And then, so when I was going through that phase I was still trying to play on this stuff, right? Which was like dumb. Like I shouldn't have tried, but I did anyway. I should have redshirted. But I tried to play because that's just who I am. I'm gonna try to tough it out. Ended up hurting myself more. And I still remember to this day, bro, I was taking this drug. It was called like Celebrax, and it's supposed to basically numb like whatever pain you feel. And bro, sometimes I would leave games and I wouldn't be able to walk. Like, because like I was really giving everything that I had, literally. Like I was way better than what I was playing for sure, but I could not move, like literally could not move. Go
ahead.
I was about to say, so like, it was just tough, bro.
I really know the feeling. Like I tore my meniscus in high school my senior year in like January. I sat out a couple weeks. Then I came back and played. I didn't know that I tore it. I thought I like hyperextended it, but I was taping my knee. You're not even supposed to tape your knee. Like nobody, you don't put tape for real on your knee. I was taping my knee up. I was taking medicine before the game, some medicine, like you just said. I used to be kind of out of it before the games, like the same whole deal. Barely could walk, the same thing, the whole thing. I waited till after the year to get my meniscus fixed. So I know the feeling. Like I could kind of relate, just not on the same level. You was at the D1 level. I'm talking about high school, so I know the feeling. Athletes we always going to be our worst enemy, especially when it comes to injuries. Nobody want to sit out, especially if you feel like it's possible at all to play. Nobody really wants to sit out, especially if you're tough. You know, you've been through some kind of injuries before. You've been through some kind of adversity before. Nobody really wants to sit out. So it's all understandable for sure.
That's part of being a pro though. Like when you become like a big time guy, like those big time players, they understand, like they look at longevity versus the now. Sometimes they need a little help to do it, but like they always have the right people in their circle to pop them back in reality and say, like, you got something bigger than this. So like for me, I never had that, and I wish I did, because I wish I had someone that had told me, like, bro, you're not supposed to be out here, you're not going out here, you're not doing it, you know?
You finished your second year there. You ended up transferring. You had to redshirt a year because of transfer rules. You ended up going to FAMU. Talk to me about getting there, the HBCU experience, and what you were able to accomplish at FAMU.
Oh man, so like the HBCU experience is nuts. Like probably like one of the best experiences you'll ever have. As a Black man, for sure, you know, because obviously it's historically Black college, so everything is predominantly Black there. But like just knowledge, life, you know, just being around. Obviously, you know, there's a difference, right? Like a lot of these schools are PWIs, which is predominantly white schools, you know. When you go to a historically Black school, it's kind of like the same as a PWI in the sense of you learn about PWI history, you know, like, and when you go to a historically Black school, you learn about Black history, basically. So, I would say you feel more in your element too, like, you know, and I would say like outside of like sports, like I felt like everybody got along, like, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody knew everybody was cool. Like it was never no issues, no problems really. Like we all hung out together, like not even just players, but like on other teams too, you know? So that was real chill. Like, and we all come from the same backgrounds. So it's really no disputes there either. So that was cool. But as a basketball player, I mean, I feel like I accomplished a lot. I know that when I left, it was me, Ben Simmons, and Malcolm Hill, like the only three players in college to lead their team at every statistical category. And honestly, I probably got like robbed because I probably should have got first team all conference, ended up getting second team all conference, probably because of our record. But based on our team, I mean, that was what that was going to be. Based on our coach, I mean, that's what that was going to be. Like, it's kind of hard for me. It was like an uphill battle. Like I was fighting against my coaches, fighting against my coach, and fighting against my team at the same time.
For sure. I got a couple friends that play at FAMU now, and I feel like from the time that you were there to now, it's a drastic difference. They the first team to be Team LeBron, like they got the Nike deal going. Y'all was wearing Russell back then. I feel like HBCU period in general, everything is just becoming bigger and bigger. I feel like in a couple of years, it's going to be more so of even more of a destination than it is now. Just all HBCU sports, HBCUs in general, becoming bigger and bigger. One of my best friends played running back for Alcorn State. They played North Carolina Central in the new Georgia Dome, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They had over 1 million people watching their games on TV. Like, I mean, like it's amazing, really, just to see how times have changed. That wasn't what year was that when you were there? 2016, 15, 16. In 5 years, now you got ESPN games, you got Nike deals booming throughout the whole conference. I feel like guys like you are the reason that it's even come this far. Like you guys had to go through that kind of adversity and the lesser resources, things like that, for it to even get to this level, for sure. With that being said, after your year at FAMU, you took your grad transfer year. You went to Xavier, Coach Chris Mack. You guys made an Elite Eight appearance. Talk to me about that experience, just the transition from low major, mid major at FAMU to Xavier, playing in the Big East, night in, night out, big games, a high level coach. You now at Louisville. Just talk to me about your whole experience there.
I mean, he was legit. Him and Coach Murray, like, I really rock with those two. Like they're the ones who recruited me. Those are the ones who really reeled me in. I know, like I told you before, like when I chose my school based on who was gonna really need me, and I felt like they needed me the most. So like I went there knowing what I was getting myself into. You know, playing on a big stage every night and fans and all that type of stuff it's nuts. Like, you know, you're playing in front of 10, 12, 15, 20,000 people every night. And you know that your games are on national TV every night. So like, you know, playing against a better competition, you got to bring it and you got to be confident in yourself. And I don't think when I first got there, I mean, I've always had talent, always have had skill, but I struggled like in the sense of like really believing in that, like until the end of the year. When we got to the end of the year and they needed me to do it, then it was like, okay, cool. But in the beginning, I was kind of afraid to do it. Like I was kind of scared, and I don't know why, but I was. Because it was a big stage. I'm not sure. Like, you know, big moments. I had never been in that situation before.
I mean, it makes sense to me just from the outside looking in. Just you probably felt like you just said, you weren't as confident. It's a way bigger stage, FAMU to the Big East. Like just me thinking about it, when I found out that you played in the Elite Eight, it was just like damn, Xavier, the Big East. That was the real Big East back then. Like, man, yeah. For sure. I watched some of your highlights like before we got on this interview, and you were a lot of the buckets at the beginning of the highlight was in the Sweet 16 games and the tournament games. When that switch finally clicked on, what was it like performing at your best on the biggest of stages, the NCAA tournament? You just said a little while ago in the interview, you said you never dreamed about being in college, but now you live in pretty much every kid's dream, playing in the tournament, balling out on the biggest stage. Like, what was it like when that switch finally clicked for you?
Bro, it was unbelievable. Like, I always knew it was there. It just took a little bit of time to bring it out of me. Like, it was just, bro, like words can't describe like that feeling when you're no longer thinking and you just playing and just having fun. Like, bro, I was just having fun. Like, and the game just came so easy and so natural. Like, it was just like, yo, this is easy for me, bro. Like, I started to really, really get into a rhythm. And I wish actually that we played more games, because if we did, then I think I would have had bigger games than that. Like, I needed that. Like, I really did. I needed those games. And like, when we got on that stage in the tournament, like, I never, you know, I don't think it's been a dream of mine since I was a kid to play in the Elite Eight or play in the tournament, you know. I think I developed that dream as I was in college, and I started to watch like the tournament games, and I'd be at home from when I was at Charleston Southern, because when I was at Charleston Southern, we won our championship. Like, we won the conference championship, basically, regular season. We lost in the actual conference, like, championship. You know, we lost to this team called Liberty, and they were like a last seed, and we were the number 1 seed. So they upset us. So my freshman year should have been that first year of me actually experiencing the tournament. But instead, I experienced the NIT instead. And we went to the NIT. And I had to watch the tournament from the crib. And the next year was the same. When I went to FAMU, it was the same. When I came back again, it was the same. So when I came back those 2 times at FAMU, I was just like, damn, bro, I really want to be in this stage. I really want to be on this stage. I really want this really bad. And I started to create this mentality, this mindset, these dreams and these visions, and like seeing myself on that stage. And then when I actually saw myself there, I was just like, wow, man. Like, I remember when I used to dream about this as a junior, when I was in my dorm at FAM, you know, in my apartment, when I was a senior at FAM. Like, I just used to dream about it. Like, yo, like, I'm gonna be here one day. and I'm finally there. And I'm making noise being there, you know? And I didn't even know the severity of what was even going on. Like us even winning those games, like I didn't really understand it. We Florida State was a number 2 seed and we beat them by 20 plus. And they had 3 lottery picks. Like, so it was just kind of like one of those things was like, bro, you don't even know what you're doing. Like, you're really doing something huge. And that whole process, even at Xavier, like that was even crazier because the things that happened, like our lottery pick point guard got injured. He tore his ACL and he tore his labrum in his shoulder. So he was done. And I think he was like our big playmaker, you know? So when he got injured, I'm a playmaker myself. So that allowed me to be more of a playmaker when he got injured, you know, and allowed me to be more comfortable to score and try to fill in that void. And so when that happened, it was like, okay, like I'm here now. You know, I stepped into me. If I had one more year there, bro, ain't no telling where I'd be right now.
If you're new to the show and you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you never miss out on the show. If you're tuned in through the audio experience, make sure you leave a review, a 5-star rating, and subscribe to the show. Man, I mean, that makes sense as well. You just said one of your biggest playmakers got injured in the tournament, especially deep in the tournament. That's what you need. Really, you need somebody or need people that could make plays. You got to make the big plays. That's what people remember, the big plays. You don't win games without making those big plays, and you stepping up, taking on the challenge, being the playmaker that you are. I feel like it definitely leapfrogged your stock as far as being a pro after. So after that year, after your tournament run, you left college. Now, currently, from that point on to now, you've been a pro. You played in the G League and you've been overseas. What is it like just being a pro? Like, that's every kid's dream that plays basketball for the most part. Not in the NBA, right? Like, you're not in the NBA, but you're still a pro. You're still making money playing the game that you love. Like, what is it like being a professional basketball player?
Bro, it's lovely. Like, it's a process, right? Like, everybody has their process that they go through. My process has been a little bit different because I tore my Achilles my second year as a pro. So like my process has been a little bit different than others. But I will say that like, it's a fun process. If you are true to this game, if you really love this game, if you really have a passion for this game and you're understanding how to remake yourself, rebuild yourself, push yourself to these limits, it's a beautiful process. Even when it's ugly, it's still beautiful because you got to go through something that shaped you into becoming a better player or a better person, or let alone both. So my process has been beautiful. It's good to just wake up and do what you love every day. Like I don't have no anger in my heart. Like I'm not upset. I'm not disappointed. Like, yeah, do I feel like I should be playing other places? Of course. Like, you know, but I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm happy with my journey. I'm happy with where I'm going. And I know that this is not the last of my story. Like I know I got so much more stuff to write in my book. So I don't really stress. I don't really worry, bro. I'm happy to be a hooper. I'm happy to be in this moment. Like, you know, even with you guys, like being at D&E and training and working out with Dan, like I'm happy that I get to do this. Like, I'm happy that I get to help you guys become better players while making myself the best player I can be.
For sure. J. Cole says it's beauty in the struggle, happiness in the success. Man, I feel like that's literally what you're going through. Like you've been through injuries in college. You've been through injuries as a pro. You still going strong. I feel like you're just an inspiration to anybody. I feel like anybody that's a basketball player, anybody that's an athlete, me, myself, my teammates that you've been talking to, working with, we only known each other for a week. I feel like I know you for a little while now. And I just appreciate everything you told me. Appreciate you letting us play the ones the other day. Man, being a pro hooper, I feel like that's everybody's dream.
Bro, it's such a grind. And it's like, I think like I was telling you the other day, right? Like everybody that play a sport, whether it's basketball, football, golf, tennis, don't matter, any sport. Matter of fact, whether it's life, it doesn't matter. You have to find a way to make a choice, make a decision. You have to say yes or no. Do I want to be a basketball player? Yes or no? And when you say yes, you understand what comes with being a basketball player. The moment you say yes. Now, there's a specific type of commitment, consistency, discipline that you got to have in everything you do in life in order to be in that 1 percentile, in order to achieve the ultimate success. Remember what I told you, right? Why is Kobe Kobe? Kobe's Kobe because he was willing to make whatever sacrifice it took. And he used to tell players in his documentary, like I told you, even if you wanted to be better than me, you can't because you have other stuff. You care about other stuff. I don't have anything else. I don't care for anything else. I just care about being the best basketball player on the planet. That was his mindset. That's why he became Kobe Bryant and everyone else stayed who they were going to be. That's the separation, right? So if you want to be great, if you want to do great things, you got to make great sacrifices, you know? Like they always say, if you want big rewards, you got to take big risk. Big risk is great sacrifice, which means that even if, you know, as a college athlete, man, I didn't have a great college time or whatever for another kid, let's say, because he chose not to party and chose to go work on his game and be a better player. But he didn't become the player he wanted to become, so he missed out on college life. So now he regrets what he did. You know what I'm saying? So it's like one of those things where you got to make a choice where you have no regrets on what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. You know what your grind is supposed to be. You know which path you're supposed to take. So it should be easy to say no to the things you're not to the things that you're not supposed to be doing. It should be easy to say yes to what you're supposed to be doing. You should know, like, hey man, I need to get up because I got to do this. I got schoolwork. I got this. I got that. I need to be in the gym. I need to work on my game. I need to get better. And if you do that every day, 1% better every day, bro, that alone is what helps you become a top tier player. Because it's, you know, if you look at guys like Nipsey Hussle who speak about the marathon, he says all the time, it's a marathon, it's a marathon. It is a marathon. A lot of us, we try to battle like other people. You're not battling anyone. You're battling you. Like you're your biggest enemy. You're your biggest problem. You're your biggest situation, right? Because you're the one that you have to be better than every day. You got to be better than what you were yesterday. How can I get better than that? When you start comparing to other people, you start belittling yourself because you can't be them. They can't be you. So why are you comparing to someone that you can't be? So it's kind of like, you know, the journey, it's a long journey and it's never ending, you know, because even when you finish basketball, you go into other endeavors and that same journey continues. And that's what this becomes like who you are as a person. So this becomes your character. So when people look at you, they look at you and say, oh, that guy right there, he has consistency, discipline, commitment. He has passion. He has will. He has strength. He's a leader. Like, and that kind of shines off in everything you do. So I think for me, it's like, bro, that's the biggest thing in life. That's the biggest thing in life. Like, you know, make your choice. You know, don't stay in limbo. Don't be afraid. Don't have fear. I mean, fear is, you know, it's doubt, you know, doubt kills more dreams than anything else would ever. You know, you don't want to kill your dreams. I like to say this quote about dreams, right? Dreams without goals remain dreams. They ultimately fueled disappointment because you didn't put goals in place. You just dreamed. You know, you want your dreams to become what? Realities. In order to do that, you have to micromanage and place goals in place that you can achieve and some that you can achieve or will take time to achieve to eventually lead you to getting to the reality of those dreams that you had. And once you do that, you can literally, bro, you can win in every aspect of life because once you learn how to do it for sport, you learn how to do it for life. You learn how to do it for everything. So that's when I say, you know, about the journey, my journey as a pro, that's always been my journey of learning as a pro, right? Like I never had this. Like I had pieces of it. I was learning. I'm 27 right now, and I have that. Like now I feel like I've come into myself. Like no one is stopping me from winning. No one, because it's not about them, it's about me. Like I get to decide whether or not I'm a winner or not by my day-to-day actions. And that's also willpower. Like that's also having will, understanding what will really means, right? Like I can will, like when I get on the floor, everywhere I play, my mindset is I'm gonna will my team to win no matter what. And that doesn't necessarily mean scoring, bro. That's just leadership. Like I'm gonna put my team in position as a team before we even get to the point where winning is decided. So that means everything leading up, like I told you the other day, you can't just out of the thin air say, all right, we're going to do it today, but we play a game in a week. Bro, the change is not going to be made in a week. It's a process. It's not instant gratification when it comes to being a winner, bro. You're going to have a lot of hard days of losing. When I tore my Achilles, I lost every day for 7 months. Do you know what that's like? You lose every day. I lost every single day. I never won a day. I lost because I couldn't deal with what that brought. It was too difficult for me. And so when you go through processes like that, you realize like I had to look myself and tell myself, I am losing right now. I'm not winning. I'm taking L's every day. At my 7-month mark, I think that's when I started to win because I started to realize that, damn, bro, it's me. Like this is my therapy. This is my, comeback from an injury. Like I have to take control of this. How bad do I want this for me? And when I made that choice, I started winning, bro.
For sure. Man, you definitely said a lot for sure. The main thing I want to say is I tell people all the time, I talk about it on the show multiple times. I think sports is the best metaphor for life that anybody could have. I think everybody in the world should play team sport at some point or play a sport at some point because there's so many lessons you can learn. Like you said so much just then, and a lot of it you could get a lot of it just from being an athlete and just trying to be good at something, taking the time to try to be good at something, being a part of a team. You learn so much. I feel like that's the main key, really. We got a new segment on the show. Started a little recently. It's called Crunch Time. Crunch time, everybody knows if you're an athlete, crunch time, that's the fourth quarter. That's the key moments in the game where you got to come through. You got to be on your best. You got to be alert. You got to be ready to play. You got to be in the game. Feel me? So this is going to be some wrap-up questions, just some quick questions. Just let me know what you think.
All right.
What's been the biggest obstacle that you've had to face up to this point?
My biggest obstacle would have to be probably my Achilles. That is my biggest obstacle. It's huge.
For sure. What are some of the biggest sacrifices that you've had to make to get to where you are? A 5-year pro, high-level basketball player, played in college multiple years. Like, what have been some of the sacrifices that you've had to make?
I would say my family and my life. Like, I don't necessarily have a life. Like, I don't know what to do with myself sometimes. Like, I don't have hobbies. Like, my hobby is gym. Like, seriously. Like, I don't really know what to do with my time, bro. Like, I want to be in the gym so much, or I want to be in the weight room, or I want to be here or there. So probably say my life and my family, like not seeing them and not being around them and choosing working out and getting better over maybe going to go hang out and chill with them.
Sure. What advice would you give somebody that's looking at you, watching this video right now and wants to be just like you?
I would tell them that there's a lot of highs, there's a lot of lows. And the more that you can have out of body experiences where you don't necessarily focus on how high things are or how low things are, you stay even keeled. I think that's the ultimate route to success, because you never have to control those emotions. And once you get too high, bro, it's hard to come down. Once you get too low, it's hard to get back up. But if you stay in the middle, if you stay even keel, if you just respect what you do, you love what you do, you're passionate about what you do, you can move quickly from things, from successes. Like when you have them, you celebrate them, you move on. You know, you don't dwell, you don't hold on to it. I think you'll be very successful in life.
What are 1 or 2 quotes that you live by on a daily basis that you tell yourself all the time?
1 or 2 quotes. Ooh. 1 or 2 quotes.
It's crunch time, man.
This is crunch time. When you said quotes, that boy pulled out the quotes on your boy. Well, one of my mottos is, you know, I probably stole it from somebody, but no excuses, just produce. You know, I don't really want to live by excuses. I just want to produce, period. Like, that's it. I don't want to make an excuse on why I wasn't what I was. Just want to do it. Another one is relentless. Like, I just want to be relentless in everything that I do, no matter what it is. Like, I just want to have a relentless attitude. I just want to have this never quit, never die, never give up, always balls to the wall attitude, no matter what. No circumstance can sway me from that, whatever it may be.
For sure. What's something random that a normal person wouldn't know about you, but your friends, your family, your close, like everybody that's close to you would know?
Friends and family, that I can dance. That I can dance. Like, that's probably like a hidden talent. Like, but I won't ever show nobody unless I'm around my family, really. Okay. They're really the only people that know.
Okay. I wish I could dance. I don't got a dancing bone in my body, bro.
I'm nice like that, though.
What's your why?
What's my why? My why is my family. My why is I don't want to go back to what I came from. Like, I know where I came from. I know how hard it was there. And I know what it took for me to get here. And I never want to go back there, ever. So that is what motivates me to not go back. And my family also, just helping them, you know, be better and giving them finances and resources so they can do what they need to do. That's my why. And my friends too, because I have a few friends in my life that are very loyal, very good friends, and support me as well. So I would love to help them as well in the same capacity.
For sure. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Best piece of advice I've ever received. I got 2 best pieces of advice I've ever received. The first one is winners win. And the second one would be everything falls and ends on leadership.
That's deep. Everything falls and ends on leadership.
Yeah.
I like that. If you could meet and spend a day with 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Let me see. My first person would probably be Denzel Washington. I love how he focuses on his craft. Like, he's big on his craft. Like, man, he's incredible. And all the movies that he's done, like, he really owns the characters. Like, you can really see that. Like, he puts a lot of time into that. And probably Will Smith too. Like, he's an equivalent to Denzel, right? Like, he really buys into the character. He gives everything he has into his character. And his output and outlook on life, I think, is incredible. Little bit of a crybaby, but at the same time, like, not necessarily a crybaby in the sense of, like, he has emotions that he likes to share, you know? So it's understandable. And then I'd probably say like another person that I probably want to speak to. I'd probably say Pablo Escobar. And I mean, like he cornered the market for drugs. Yes, and I'm not saying I want to be a drug dealer, but I'm saying because he made drug dealing into a business. Like it was a corporation, basically. It was like he had his own company, and he had employees the same way, to the same stature, like, and he made billions of dollars, like doing this, and he had so much power and so much influence. And just, it would be cool to understand like how he thinks and why he thinks the way he thinks and what put him in the mindset to be this type of guy. Because I mean, he became arrogant, cocky asshole. Like, he had so much money. Did money make him into that? Like, was he always like that? Like, what gave him the vision to even start the drug business the way that he did? What gave him that ambition to be who he became? So it'd be just good to understand like that and take that into real life, because I think the one thing that I admire about most drug dealers is that they don't play by other people's rules. And I admire that, because in life, you can't play by somebody else's rules. You got to play by your own if you want to succeed. And that's what the rich do. They play by their own rules. That's why they're so rich. They stay rich and they begin to get wealth. It's because they play by their own rules every step of the way. And because they got so much money, it's nothing you and I or anyone can do about it, because they're already put in place. So imagine if you had the same type of money, the same type of wealth, and you started playing by your own rules, what would happen? What you think will happen for you? The same thing that's happening for them.
For sure. I think, first off, we're not glorifying drugs and drug dealing on the show. We're not doing that. But I definitely, number one, that's definitely the most interesting of the three people. I asked the same question on every show from season 1 to now. Definitely probably the most interesting choice for sure. I definitely I feel you on that too. I feel like, I talk about this with people all the time. I feel like anybody that's like historically known for anything like that, like bad, evil, like anybody that's able to manage people like that, that has that kind of vision, like if they directed it to the right causes, the right things, they would be like Martin Luther King, they would be like Gandhi, they would be like Malcolm X. Like they just directed their focus, their ambition, their mindset to the wrong thing. But I feel where you're going with that for sure.
Just think about Pablo, right? He got people to basically die for him. Like, don't get me wrong, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, all those guys, Elijah Muhammad, all those guys, they had guys that wanted to die for them too, right? But we talking about, they had guys that wanted to die for them because they were fighting a good cause.
Right.
Like they're trying to do world peace, and they're trying to make, equalization for Blacks. They're trying to give us, freedoms. You understand? That's a different type of somebody dying for you. They dying for you because they know that you're going to be the person to lead this color or this ethnicity or this group into the future. He's not leading Mexicans, or he's not leading Colombians or people into the future. He's basically in a position of power to where, you know how it goes when you're in a drug game. You either end up dead or you end up in jail. So how did you keep all these people in check to want to do that for you without wanting to chop your head off, without wanting to take you out?
For sure. That's leadership at its finest, right. For
sure. What did you say? How did you get them to ride or die for you to the point where they won't even snitch on you? They won't turn on you. Obviously, there's a little bit of killing in that, like that goes into that. But like still, like as a man, it's like, well, damn, like what's stopping me from walking over there and killing you right now?
Right. For sure.
Somebody else wants your spot too.
For sure. Definitely. All right. So last question on the show. Who should I have on the show next? Whoever you say, you gotta help me. You gotta help me get them. You gotta plug me in. Who you think I should have on the show? Who's somebody you think I should get on here?
Man, who I think you should get on this show? I don't know. Let's keep it a secret. Let's try to figure out who we can get you next together, and then just pop up on them and let them see who the next guest could be.
Bet y'all heard it here. Y'all gonna see one of these next couple guests is gonna be somebody me and Malcolm cook up. Somebody Malcolm get me right with.
For sure.
But yes, sir, that's about it for the show. I already said it before, but I want to say it again for sure. Thank you for your time. Thank you for even taking the time to do this. I know you're a busy guy. We just met. You don't really know me for real. Like, we just met a week ago, literally, and feel like I know you for a good amount of time. I appreciate everything you told me so far. Appreciate you letting me work out with you the other day. Appreciate you doing this for sure.
Right.
Let everybody know where they can find you on social media and what to be looking out for next coming from you.
Oh man, y'all can find me at Malcolm A. Bernard on Instagram or Malcolm Bernard on Twitter. Most likely I'll probably be heading to Russia. I already signed the contract to go play there. So you can look up for that. And just follow the journey, man. It's interesting, and it's about to get real interesting this year here. So it's a lot in store. A lot of big moves about to be made. So, hey, man, you better get on me now before it's too late.
Y'all heard it first. Big season coming up. Contract signed in Russia coming soon. Malcolm Bernard, again, I want to say thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
Love, bro. I'm holler.
I want to say thank you guys for your continued support of the show. If you're new to the show and you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you never miss out on the show. If you're tuned in through the audio experience, make sure you leave a review, a 5-star rating, and subscribe to the show. For exclusive merch, make sure you send a DM to the DJ Henderson Podcast Instagram page or my personal Instagram at DJ Henderson _.